suis littéralement sur le rien n'arrive à la cheville de ce film. Rangez les popcorns, prenez votre bloc-notes et votre stylo, soyez attentifs. Le loup de Wall Street, The Social Network, le fondateur, oubliez, vous en apprendrez bien plus avec la vérité cachée sur l'entrepreneuriat. Avec le film La vérité cachée sur l'entrepreneuriat, je prends de gros risques et je ne me fais pas que des amis, car je vous dévoile l'envers du décor du business en ligne. Parmi les choses passionnantes et contre-intuitives que vous allez découvrir, je vais entre autres anéantir tous les mythes que l'on vous a insidieusement fait avaler. Voici ici certains mensonges d'entrepreneuriat des plus courants. Créer une chaîne YouTube, mensonge. Lancer une chaîne de podcast, mensonge également. Utiliser
You know, but think watching the Republicans, if we just aren't the country that we thought we were. I mean, I've seen Republicans get on the phone with Eastern European leaders and others and talk about having their backs as they reach for democracy, as guaranteeing that we'll be there to monitor their elections to make sure that fraud doesn't occur, or if it does, we'll be there. We'll be there to call out the fraud. We now have a president manufacturing, he is the fraud. The fraud is now the president, and all of the elected Republicans, save for a tragic, tragic few, are going along with it. How do we travel the world and call ourselves champions of democracy after this?
Well, it's going to be difficult because what has happened over the last 4 years has really been to undermine the United States' reputation and standing in the world, what we have stood for so many years. Speaking out against oppressive authoritarian regimes, speaking out in defense of human rights, doing those things that we have been known for certainly the last 75 years since World War II. And so, like Joe, I am just aghast at what I've seen happen here in Washington. And what Donald Trump has done is really not surprising or shocking to any of us. What I am shocked at are those that have been brought into his universe and continue to enable and apologize for what he is doing. And their silence, I think, really speaks volumes to the fact that the GOP that I knew, is no longer in existence. There's always been partisanship in Washington. Partisanship is healthy. You want to have that back and forth and that give and take. However, what has happened now, because of that toxic influence of Donald Trump, really has, I think, undermined the healthy aspects of our democratic system, which is a two system that really is trying to do what is best for the country as opposed to the individual in the Oval Office. And so I'm just hoping that Joe Biden is somebody who's going to really try to unite us, but it's going to be challenging. It's going to be challenging on the home front. It's going to be challenging because the word of the United States really no longer carries the sense of durability that it had in the past, as the United States has walked away from international agreements. The fact that Donald Trump speaks the way he does about America first. So unfortunately, I think what we saw roll out yesterday is, if you're playing fantasy football, it's the dream team of national security. And so I do have confidence that if we're going to have any hope of repairing the damage that's been done, these are the people that are going to help us get there.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.
Большинство предпринимателей не понимают, что самое дорогое, что у них есть в бизнесе, это сам бизнес. А главный товар предпринимателя – это его бизнес. Например, у вас есть небольшой бизнес, который состоит буквально из пары сотрудников. Не факт, что у вас есть даже ООО или ИП. Или все, из чего это состоит, например, это группа ВКонтакте или страница сайта, которые приносят продажи. Это все равно бизнес. И приносит это, допустим, 100 тысяч рублей в месяц. Если вы продадите такой актив, то за него заплатят в среднем от 1 до 2 миллионов рублей. А если вы помогаете продать, то есть это не ваш бизнес, то вам в среднем заплатят от 300 тысяч до 500 тысяч рублей за помощь в продаже. Но самое главное, вы можете повторять это снова и снова, потому что в среднем нужно от 2 недель до 2 месяцев, чтобы продать такой актив. Вот именно за счет таких сделок и создается капитал. И за счет этого небольшой предприниматель становится системным бизнесменом, а впоследствии и инвестором. А чтобы посмотреть на весь процесс изнутри,
fact that New Yorkers are getting tested. Governor, we had record levels in the last couple of weeks. The number of people.
So when I'm deciding on which chord voicing to use, I'm looking at two things. I'm looking at what kind of chord it is, whether it's a major 7 chord, a minor 7 chord, or a dominant 7 chord. And I'm also looking at which note is in the melody. So if it's the 9th, the 3rd, the 11th, the 5th. And what I'm searching for in my memory bank of chord voicings is a voicing that just happens to have the melody note as its top note. So that means I need to cover all possible melody notes for a major 7 chord. I need to cover all possible melody notes for a minor 7 chord. And I need to cover all possible melody notes for a dominant 7 chord. Practically every note for the dominant 7 chord. So in this
Over 3.8 million children don't have music education in the US.
Music is changing my life.
Music makes me feel happy.
Music makes me feel proud.
Our goal is to unite our heart through music. Please join us at the Lang Lang and Friends virtual concert, Reaching Dreams Through Music, to listen to some great performers like Sam Smith, Diana Krall, John Batiste, Mike Leaf John, and Renee Fleming. We planned this virtual concert because we want to bring music to your homes, and we want to bring our love to your communities.
Я смотрю на это.
What is intonation? Intonal singing in between notes with glissando and resistance while playing is called legato, or in vocal singing, portamento. With resistance.
Женщина, если вы такая хорошая, ну, я тебя понял уже. Что тебе это? Смотри нормально, что не нужно делать.
Well, taking a look at Pennsylvania now, where the state's highest court dealt another blow to the Trump campaign's efforts to overturn election results. In a unanimous decision, the court rejected the Trump team's baseless claims of mass voter fraud. This comes one day after the state dismissed a lawsuit brought by Republican Representative Mike Kelly that argued that the state's GOP legislature violated the Constitution when it expanded absentee voting. So for more on this, I want to bring in CBS News 2020 campaign reporter Zach Hudak. He's been covering the state of Pennsylvania for our political unit. Boy, you've been all over it. Pennsylvania had been targeted by the Trump campaign even before the election. There were challenges. So it's going to keep, your head's spinning a little. Which challenge is this? So can you walk us through this particular lawsuit?
Yeah, Marie, this latest one, this Mike Kelly lawsuit that we just got the state court ruling on the other day, the reason that was unique among these, at this point, we were almost at a dozen lawsuits in Pennsylvania the Trump campaign has been in one way or another involved in to try to change the results here. But this one was particularly significant because, unlike the others, which sought to throw out a few thousand votes here and there, maybe 10,000 votes, this one sought to disenfranchise about 2.6 million voters. It sought to toss every no-excuse mail ballot in the state. Now, Anne-Marie, those ballots were allowed because of a law that was passed by the Republican-controlled State House and State Senate last fall. And it was part of a bigger package that the Democratic governor supported. But this was bipartisan legislation, and the goal was just to allow more voters to be able to vote. Now, it was just by sheer happenstance that this came right ahead of the pandemic and all of these people ended up voting by mail. But essentially what this lawsuit tried to do was undo that bipartisan legislation from over a year ago now. So it was, if there were one lawsuit that won, this is the one that would have thrown out 2.6 million votes. And as of now, it's not happening. One of the plaintiffs, Sean Parnell, who actually right near here was running unsuccessfully against Connor Lamb, tweeted after the ruling that it was not over yet and sort of implied that they would be appealing to the U.S. Supreme Court.
I'm glad that you pointed that out about how Pennsylvania changed the law when it came to absentee ballots, because it had nothing to do with the pandemic. They didn't know the pandemic was happening. It had everything to do with allowing more people giving more people the ability to vote, which is the point. In Pennsylvania, you needed a reason to not show up at the polls, and then they said, no, you don't need a reason, just ask for a ballot and we'll do it that way. And then the pandemic made things just a little more complicated. You talked about the vast impact, the wide-ranging impact that this lawsuit could have had if it was successful. Is that sort of the key difference when you look at this particular lawsuit versus some of the other legal challenges in Pennsylvania?
And Maria, I think that's the case. I mean, I want to clarify, this was always an unbelievable long shot and remains so, even if they try to continue to appeal. But that's what we sort of started to see. On Election Day, on the day after Election Day, and the day after that, there was this flood of lawsuits coming in. And we had a lot of information that we didn't know. We didn't know how many provisional ballots were still out there. We didn't even know how many mail ballots were still out there or still coming in. There was that 3-day extension in Pennsylvania. So we didn't have enough information to know for about a week after if any of these lawsuits would matter. And for that reason, it seemed like this dozen or so lawsuits, every one of them could have tremendous impact because we had the president going on TV implying they could. But as we found out, by about a week after, the president would need a heck of a lot more votes than 10 or 20,000 votes to swing the results here. And really what it would take is something like that, like throwing out every no-excuse mail ballot in the entire state.
Hey, Zach, before we let you go, I want to ask you about something else. Pennsylvania State Senator Doug Mastriano tested positive for COVID-19. He found out he was positive while he was at the White House to meet with the president. He was meeting with the president about these legal challenges in Pennsylvania. And so I'm wondering if the fact that he tested positive is going to have, a negative impact or make things a little more challenging for the Trump campaign. As you mentioned, they're still not backing down, and they still seem to think that there are more legal avenues for them in Pennsylvania. But Mastriano testing positive can't be a good thing.
I think it's hard to make it much more difficult at this point. I think we are as near having all the nails in the coffin as we possibly could be. But I would point out on Senator Mastriano's case, it's incredibly unfortunate, and obviously none of us would hope for that to happen. But I've been in this state since I think it would be about a week before we started having shutdowns in places like New York. So even slightly before the country really turned its attention to COVID, and particularly in those early stages, but throughout that, Senator Mastriano has been sort of one of the loudest voices in Harrisburg, protesting shutdowns, frequently calling for protests outside the Capitol, where he is running around maskless, and he actually live streams much of it on his phone, so he kind of flouts that he is maskless. Just a couple weeks ago, the week following the election, a number of members of the Republican members of the Pennsylvania House had a press conference to talk about the election indoors. It's about 20 of them. None of them wore masks. So there is sort of this culture within a facet. It's not everyone in the PAGOP, but there is a culture within a chunk of the Pennsylvania legislature that really has not taken COVID particularly seriously. And again, I want to extend my sorrow to the senator and his family, and I really they're in my thoughts and prayers. But this is someone who, much like the president, sort of very publicly flouted that he was not abiding by the COVID protocols.
Yep, and there you have it. And it's a good point. No one wants anyone to contract COVID-19, especially the way this virus works. Sometimes you just never know if you're going to be hit hard or if it's going to be just sort of a mild go at it for you. But we know what we need to do to avoid getting it. So if you ignore the recommendations, your risk increases substantially. Zach, thank you so much.
Yo, 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 fallait que j'attire ton attention, donc voici ma villa, voici où j'habite, tiens, ça c'est ma chatte. Non, ce n'est pas du Airbnb, c'est pas un truc que je loue pour 30 minutes, pour faire le temps d'une vidéo, ni pour une semaine, ni pour un mois. J'habite ici toute l'année, et là je vais t'emmener dans ma villa. Pourquoi? Parce que déjà pour te faire kiffer, mais aussi pour te proposer quelque chose d'assez exceptionnel, de très rare, que normalement je facture très cher, et que je vais t'offrir.
Well, welcome back to breakfast, and I can finally introduce you to Lang Lang. Very good morning to you.
Good morning.
Before I talk to you in detail, I'm just going to introduce you and tell you what some other people have said about you. The New York Times has hailed you as the hottest artist on the classical music planet. Your parents bought you a piano when you were just 2 years old. It cost them half their annual salary. Lang Lang won his first competition when he was just 5 years old, and you begin a 4-day residency with the London Symphony Orchestra on the 20th of April. Well, welcome to breakfast. We've been hearing from you all morning, but just from your hand, so we can finally speak to you in person. It's lovely to meet you.
Pleasure.
You're at the grand old age now of how old?
I'm now, 26.
26, okay. Which is quite old, really, in classical music terms, isn't it? I mean, we see so many, you started so young. When did you first start playing?
I was starting when I was 2.5 by listening to Tom and Jerry cartoon. That was the beginning.
Okay, so you listened to Tom and Jerry cartoons, you were inspired by the soundtrack, and what did you do, nag your parents for a piano so that you could play them?
No, I already had a piano, and I just heard this melody. And I start to imitate those characters on the piano, and I really admire Tom's tuxedo.
Yes.
That was really cool at the time.
Okay, so your original inspiration was Tom.
Right.
Yeah, okay. And then when did you start playing other bits of music? How did that progress?
So when I was 5, I went to the competition in my hometown, and I started playing real music, which is like Mozart sonata, Chopin little waltz. Yeah.
Can you play us a little bit of what you played at the age of 5 in this competition in Shenyang in China?
Yeah, I did this. That's the one.
And so you enter this competition at the age of 5. How old were the other competitors?
They're about a little bit older, 6 or 7 years old, but still pretty young.
And can you, I mean, did you win, or how did you get on?
Fortunately, I
course,
won,
of course you won and blew them all away. Can you honestly say you play better now, that piece of music, than you did when you were 5? How good were you in your own assessment?
I hope, that's the only thing.
Yeah. Tell us about your career since then, 21 years in between. What's for you, when you think about your achievements, what do you think, I'm so glad I've done?
No, I mean, it's a long journey to where I am today, and it takes lots of hard work. And I must say that my parents also supported me a lot. And in the beginning, it was a bit pushy, but in the end, it come together in the end. But it was not easy. It was lots of sacrifice. And,
We've just been talking about the Beijing Olympics and the opening ceremony this morning. And you were obviously there at Beijing for the Olympics. Can you play a little bit of what you played then, or is that putting you on the spot too much? Do you ever feel like you're put on the spot when people ask you to play?
Fine. I mean, it was something, but of course I need an orchestra. But I mean, I still remember. It sounds like this dreaming fantasy. It's like finally the Olympic arrived in China after what they say 100 years of trying.
We'd like you to play something that means something to you and that we can all listen to and share. And I don't want to interrupt you this time. So if you could choose just off the top of your head something you can play for a minute or so, what would be the thing that you would choose?
Yes, this is really still pretty early in the morning. And I like to do something to cheer people up, to have a good mood for today. So I would like to play a Chopin Polonaise.
Take it away, Lang Lang. absolutely stunning, and it's brought Noel out of the studio.
I took up the piano 4 years ago, but I don't think I'm ever going to touch a keyboard again. Quite
You can play now, actually.
Well, yeah, when the cameras go off. But one word of advice for a learning pianist? Or a few words.
I think the most important thing is the passion and love for what you do.
Yeah.
And because when you practice, it's really hard and it takes lots of time. The only way to achieve it is that you love it. And I think that's the best thing.
I manage about 40 minutes a day. It's just not enough, is it?
Yeah.
But
how much do you practice in a day?
Now 3 hours, but when I was 8 years old, 8 hours.
You didn't really have time for anything else, did you?
Did you really love it then? When you were 8 years old, was there a consuming passion for it?
I would say 6 hours. I like it, and 2 hours was pretty much forced.
Well, what a joy to have you.
I know, and the results are outstanding. It's lovely to meet you, Langdon.
Thank you
So much, and to hear you play. I'm going to let you play a little bit more. We are back tomorrow, of course, with breakfast from 6 o'clock, but for today, we're going to leave you.
See you then.
Yeah, have a lovely day with music from Langdon.
See you.
Good morning. Once again, we're transforming lives next on BBC One.
President-elect Joe Biden is encouraging Americans to stay safe during the Thanksgiving holiday. In a video shared on social media, Mr. Biden urged the nation to follow coronavirus guidelines and spend time only with their immediate households. He also called on the country to heal its political divisions. Meanwhile, at the White House, President Trump spent his holiday continuing to push baseless claims about voter fraud and denying the results of the election. CBS News White House correspondent Ben Tracy has the latest.
I know one thing, Joe Biden did not get 80 million votes.
Mr. Biden did get 80 million votes, but President Trump refuses to accept that reality.
I want to wish you all a very happy Thanksgiving.
After offering Thanksgiving greetings to troops stationed overseas, the president answered questions for the first time since losing the election and launched into more baseless attacks on the results.
If you look at the numbers are false. The numbers are corrupt. It was a rigged election, 100%, and people know it.
There is no evidence of widespread voter fraud, and the president's lawyers have failed in almost all of their legal efforts contesting the results in multiple states.
It's going to be a very hard thing to concede because we know there was massive fraud.
The president stopped short of conceding the election and scolded a reporter who pressed him on it.
Don't talk to me that way. You're just a lightweight. Don't talk to me that way. I'm the president of the United States. Don't ever talk to the president that way.
He also would not speculate on a 2024 run, but he did say he will leave the White House peacefully in January with a caveat.
Certainly I will. Certainly I will. And you know that. But I think that there will be a lot of things happening between now and the 20th of January.
It's a personal sacrifice that each of our families can make and should make.
President-elect Joe Biden struck a different tone. He and wife Jill remained at their Delaware home instead of Nantucket, where they usually host a large family gathering for the holiday. They spoke with healthcare workers and released a video on Twitter, praising frontline workers and speaking to the economic and personal pain many Americans have faced this year.
History has shown, and all of you have shown, that there's nothing we can't do if we do it together.
President Trump plans to campaign in Georgia next weekend for the two Republicans who are running in Senate runoff races there. The president also called the Republican Secretary of State an enemy of the people because he certified the election there for Joe Biden. Ben Tracy, CBS News, the White House.
For more, I want to bring in Eugene Scott. He's a political reporter for the Washington Post. Eugene, thank you so much for being with us today. We appreciate it. We noted there that the president is saying he'll leave office if
человека принимает меня по разные религии. Год назад было. Это что такое? Машинос. Хороший человек. Да, что, старикан, что ли, какой-то действительно слушает? Что, старикан, что ли? Мы все умрем? Нет, ты умрешь. Через ее травку читается. Все нормально, века. Все нормально. Здесь вообще замечательно. Такая вот совсем жена. Ой. Че ты такой, что ты сошевелится-то, а? Ты че, теперь не шевелится? Да, почту смотреть, что смотреть еще надо? Нет, ну а что ты хочешь? Не знаю, какие-то кому понятие растяжимое? ребята. Ты как думаешь? Сразу заблокировать, да?
What would your life be like if you were a rapid transformational therapist? So I can give you a glimpse into that life now. You work your own hours. If you have children in school, you work when they're in school. You don't have to work in the holidays. If you have a career that you can't leave for whatever reason, or there are too many benefits to walk away from, you can still do RTT. You could do it on a Saturday morning, 2 evenings a week. You could think about going part-time in your career. Pick your own salary. Our graduates tend.
The Biden campaign just minutes ago sent out a press release announcing an all-female senior communications team. Some interesting names and names that will be familiar.
Что женщина? Так нет, это вот именно что. Нет, тебе выбор никто не дает, тебя либо рожают, либо типа того-то. Блин. Ладно.